For people who haven't been to one of these, if you look at the invite, there is an architecture doc. So let's start by adding ourselves there.
And I tried to add in just some stuff, but it was pretty loose on the topics. So feel free to please add in.
Oh, good. Do you add it to what I was? I started writing topics, and then I thought, we will share briefly like 1 or 2 lines and see what people have to say, and then we'll add that to the doc. Yeah. And usually we have one of the people who are not on the team also attend these. So it's a good conversation to sort of bring up here.
I didn't see a link in the meeting notice today for the document.
Yeah. So what I had to do was click the meeting invite. Yeah. So if you scroll down, actually, beyond the Zoom meeting, towards the bottom, there is a pin.
It's not very
I see
clear.
an architecture folder, but it just took me to a drive folder that didn't.
Yeah.
Oh, did it? Okay.
And
I
that
think Elliot
folder has the
posted it.
file, actually. That's where I
There
found
it is.
it.
Okay, there. It wasn't showing up for a second.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is some Google foo. I think when you create a meeting, it asks you whether to create meeting notes, and it automatically sets the things up for you. So it's just kind of eerie for me, but whatever.
Yeah, and it isn't very consistent when it does it.
Correct. That's the thing. Yeah.
You never know where to look.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get started then. Hey Steve, I was going to ask you, do you need help posting the recordings? Because I see that after Jan 18th.
I have them downloaded. I just have to get them together, but I will reach out to you and we can tackle it together.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can help. Okay. So for March 15th, there's no one new here, so we'll skip the introductions part. But I wanted to sort of surface a few I just mentioned that there is no one new, but it looks like Mark is in his fancy office, so that's new for today.
Yeah, this is the view of the Chicago skyline.
So, where are you in Chicago?
Are you in the IBM building in Chicago?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, it depends on what you think the IBM building is. There's 2 of them.
The big black one.
I'm in the one that was I was with Clever Safe, and they acquired us, so we're in another building. So,
because I used to work at it's now Bank of America down by the Board of Trade.
I'm in the same building where the train station is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
I used to work at the Aon building, so I see some of the skyline in the back. Okay, so a few things I wanted to surface, and I noted them down here. But first, Steve, let's talk about OpenSSL replacement, since you added that.
Yeah, I just saw on the Slack channel that Abhijit was asking about what you should do for the sign struct, and currently it depends. Some of the code depends upon OpenSSL. And I know there's been talk this past week about what to do and how to do that. So I was just trying to hope to get some ideas out there for Abhijit to give him some direction on where he should go next on that.
Yeah. So Abhijit just showed up, so maybe he can chat. But I was just going to give a higher level context. We started with OpenSSL because we needed some SSL library, and we sort of knew at the back of our mind that Windows is going to be a problem. So now that Abhijit is actually investing time in it, the first goal was to get rid of OpenSSL and build all the code without it. But looks like OpenSSL is being used in this module called sign struct, and that's where we are having some overlap, some trouble removing it. So those are I think those are good things to tackle, and I don't see them as going to be easy, but we should do them.
Yeah.
Abhijit, do you want to? Yeah.
So the question kind of is like on the blockchain side, what for like the key value pairs, I think you're signing, or some part of the blockchain, you're doing some sort of additional signing. And I was just wondering what that was going to use for the algorithm.
So the thing is, the blockchain, the signing part comes from the sign stuff module. Like the person who worked on this project before has divided the whole project. Wherever they need the signing utility, they call the module. So now the problem with OpenSSL is that there are certain features which are unique in the whole Rust ecosystem to OpenSSL. So if we have to remove that, I have to manually go copy that part of the source code and then like add it there. No other crate has specific support for certain functionality.
Everything that's in OpenSSL should be in Rust LS.
No, as a Elliot, I think I can give you a detailed description about this in chat, because that'll be more appropriate, because there'll be a lot of. I'll put this in Pyrsia team. It's not about the functionality as such also. Like there are certain traits which obviously will not be the same in any other crate, because the author will not be building a trait based on another crate. It's as long as I understand the Rust ecosystem, it is not how we approach it, right? Like no two crates will have the same traits. Like
that makes sense.
So those are the kind of issues which I'm running into right now. And if possible, it is taking some amount of time, but I should be able to fix this.
Yeah, no, that's okay, Abhijit. So I think Elliot also, so I put Mithali because I know that she was the last person to work on science stuff related stuff. But Elliot has done a lot of research on the Rust LS and OpenSSL. So maybe the three of you can, get together, figure out what is what, and then make sure you share it with the blockchain group, so that you surface what is actually going to impact. Okay. And don't worry about the slowness. If you're ripping out a majority of the signing portion and trying to replace it, it's not going to be easy.
You can also reach out to me. I have quite a bit of experience in doing this PKI and signing stuff here at IBM.
Sweet. I'll put that. I'll just. So the goal is to replace OpenSSL with Rust LS, okay, and go more so that we can support different operating systems.
Yeah, it'll be nice to get rid of OpenSSL, especially for on the Windows side. It'll let us run more native under Windows without having to be in the Linux subsystem.
Yeah, just to be clear, Sudendra, Rust LS should have the functionality, but if we come up with something else that lets us drop OpenSSL, that's good too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. The key is we want to remove OpenSSL. How we do that is up to us. So cool.
Yes. If Rust LS is missing something, add it on top. Just remove OpenSSL in the end. That is correct.
Do we need the whole TLS library for that though?
No, it's whatever we actually need. And the only reason I bring it up is because it's supposed to be a drop-in replacement, but whether it actually is, I can't say. But
we have to do research,
But I mean, looking at signed RS, we're only bringing in like 5 or 6 actual OpenSSL specific things. So we'll see.
Yeah, and in my understanding of Rust LS, it was created for SSL connections over the web, and it wasn't really 100% designed as a OpenSSL replacement, but I think it has enough of the functions we need to accomplish the signing that we need to do.
Yeah, I don't know what are the special function we need to use the OpenSSL. Now the blockchain use the libp2p, the cryptographic library. We have the hash, we have the signature, we have the verify. Yeah, so I don't know the
Yeah.
sign signature. What
Did
is
we look at
special
REST
the
script?
function? Yeah,
Did you look at REST crypto?
yeah. Rust crypto.
Yeah.
No, I haven't looked at that one yet. As a possibility. And so Shufei, that's in the libp2p crate is where those methods you were talking about lie.
Yeah, this is you. Yes, it the Hashi use the KCAC 256. Then the signature use the Edward the signature. So so I don't know what special the function we need in the sign structure. Must use the OpenSSL. Yeah.
I don't know that it must. All I'm saying is currently when you go and look in signed RS, this is all it's using. We've already discussed this, I think, more than we probably should have. We can move on to other things. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. Well, I would just say, Abhijit, look at the Rust LS and also talk to Shufei about what is in the libp2p that crypto that we can leverage there.
Okay. So Shufei, I did add notes referring to what you were mentioning in the agenda doc. Can you check if I spelled things correctly or misspelled? Okay. So I think that's a good plan, meaning we have Rust LS, which is strong because it's a good similar thing to OpenSSL, but maybe we don't even need it. So that's a good discussion to have. So Abhijit, can I task you to pull in the right people, have a discussion, get some decisions made, and maybe share it next time?
I'll do some research and then
Yeah,
contact
and it's
the whole team.
Yeah. And
if you need help, just let us know in chat.
Yeah. And a few of us can join the conversation. Okay.
Cool.
I pasted a link to the crates, to the Rust crypto crate.
Yeah, I added it to the agenda doc in the thing. I said explore other options like this, and there are other things like Edward signing and KCAC for which exists already in libp2p. Then we should maybe leverage that if Rust LS seems to be too heavy or whatnot. Okay. I will actually switch the orders, and this I was going to present it to anyone who doesn't show up on team stand-ups, but we have that PR. I am still going through the steps, but that PR also lists, what you would need to set up an end-to-end demo and how it works and get a feel for Pyrsia. But okay, that was it. So if people have
just a note on that one, I know we have some other issues opened about the README and the steps and the READMEs and stuff like that. Some of the document in general, the documentation is lagging behind because we're waiting on the website. So hopefully we'll get the website soon up and going, so we can make sure all the steps are documented well.
Yeah. So my promise to Erwin is basically go through the documentation that he has written in this PR and add missing steps, add English, saying, hey, this is what I actually ended up doing. And I started basically running a node in Google Cloud because I don't have an Ubuntu machine. So I just brought up an Ubuntu machine there. And I'm running through steps so that I can actually hand it over to Erwin and say, hey, this is what my history looks like. And I see that these few steps are missing. Is there a way to,
Cool.
Yeah.
Can I add real quick, Erwin? I wanted to mention, I saw you had the comment that we can use --peer to specify the new central node manually. Long term or longer term architecturally, shouldn't we make that a default peer?
I'm not sure if I completely understand, but there's an issue. I'm not sure what the number is by heart, but this is indeed a temporary solution. I think.
Cool. Never mind. We're cool.
Yeah.
We're on the same page.
Yeah,
that's all I wanted to ask was if that was just temporary. Sounds great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. So
well,
just
Actually,
Right.
it's temporary, and I do also want to include that as a default right now already. The minus peer boot.persia.link or something. That is something I would like to add.
I just wanted to discuss it because this is an architecture meeting, and I
Yeah,
wanted to make
sure.
sure we were aligned, and we're aligned. Sounds great.
That's sweet. No, that's
Cool.
good.
So just to make sure that we are really aligned, my understanding is that if we remove the required minus dash peer ID and have it as a default, then it means that the default is baked into the application or into the bundle that's installed.
Yes,
my
but it'll
understanding
be
is that,
it'll be a DNS name, right? It shouldn't be the hard coded ID,
Yeah.
but yeah,
It's a DNS, yeah.
right,
but
it
that
is
would
still
be my understanding
hard-coded.
as well.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's
Or
good.
maybe
Yeah,
maybe
that's
we
it.
can move it to a config file at some point, but yes, the hard coded
That's,
default.
Yeah. Okay.
Correct.
Got it.
So we will bundle it, but keep it decoupled from the code so that if we change from boot to bootstrap, we should be able to do that without changing the entire code. And yeah, so maybe in the configuration files, some like standard default configuration. Okay.
Well, again, my point was we can override it with the configuration, but we should still have a default in the code, just to be safe.
Yeah, I think it's similar to how etcresolve.conf is bundled with any Linux distribution by default. So it's a config file, but you can still override the config file, and then the daemon gets it from the config file.
Yeah.
Yeah, from just from an architecture point of view on the services, it's actually easier to set up environment variables at the service level instead of dealing with a separate config file. It just is one less file to keep track of and then point to that file and stuff like that. So if we could do it through environment variables, that's even better.
But that doesn't sound like the Linux approach where, well, you typically have in etc the config file for the service that you have in.
Again, I'm cool with having a default that you can override through an environment variable or a config or both, whatever.
Yeah.
More options is better than less. Yeah,
we could drop something into etc. That we could do a Pyrsia.config in etc if we want.
That would be nice. Yeah. Okay.
Well, we probably want it to be a toml under the .config folder of the user, but that's just because that's how Rust seems to do things.
Yeah, but it's running as a service, and most services come from the etc.
I'm sold.
Yeah.
For the service, that makes sense.
Yeah,
that's on. I'm just focusing on the service at this point.
Yeah. Actually, that what do you call segues into the central node discussion, and this is something that we haven't done so far. Is like being focused on the DevOps of this, but there was a discussion, and I wanted to surface that is that we have decided to bring up a central node in the cloud, which we will use for writing to the blockchain and what do you call as a bootstrap node to get the network started. It will also be a conduit
proxy to Docker Hub.
Yeah.
Yep.
Proxy to Docker Hub, etc., right? So if you haven't heard that before, then that is going to be a reality. And some of the things that we just mentioned, like, hey, where should the config file be, etc., are going to be important things we talk about because we need this to be deployable on a Kubernetes cluster and fall into that category of we can scale it well.
And
right, Steve, yeah.
And right now, I'm just bringing it up on as Ubuntu VM on GCP, just to get started with. And what we'll need to do is move it over to a Kubernetes cluster so we can do rolling, deployments and those type of things, and have zero downtime in the long term. But right now, just to get us started, we'll be off of just a VM.
Yeah. Okay. I think that is pretty much about the central node. What are the other? Steve, you want to take it? I'll write some notes to that.
The only other thing that we need to kind of keep in the back of our mind for the central node is how we're going to do key management. Because eventually that central node will need to have some sort of key for signing the blockchain and other stuff. But that will be something that we'll need to look at down the road. So just keep in the back of your mind when we're working on this stuff that we need to do key management. And probably, I don't know, with the blockchain implementation, if we are going to do a rolling key, that's good for 6 months and then we roll it, or what the methodology that we're going to do. But just keep that in the back of your mind as we're working through this stuff.
So I'm just, this is an open question, but how about using Google or Google Cloud for storing keys and whatever they have for key management?
Oh yeah, there's plenty of places to store them. It's just what type of key we're going to store,
okay.
how often we're going to roll it, or if we need to revoke it, those type of things that we need to deal with, and when we move towards more of a production-like environment.
Yeah.
Yeah, these sound like important questions for another day.
Yeah, and that's all I wanted to have people start thinking about them, not necessarily solve them.
Yeah. So for such things, I'm open to be educated. I would like to learn. So if people on this team already have some exposure and some recommendations, maybe we should just chat about, what are good practices we see, or where are the areas we can go and learn this and use whatever is prevalent, right? We don't want to reinvent.
Yeah, I mean, I like things like Zookeeper. There are other cluster management secret servers out there.
Yeah.
Beyond the technology, we should also have some sort of key signing ceremony where when we go to production, we say, hey, this is our production key. This is how it's managed. This is where it's, just to give trust out to the.
Yeah, I think that's exactly the kind of thinking that he had in mind for us to have.
Yeah, that's exactly. That's why I wanted us to. And then there's going to be things like a certificate of authority when we go to get the keys, who we're going to get them from, and stuff like that. Anyways,
before we talk about tools and where to store them, I think we should first set requirements. For example, do we want forward secrecy? Suppose the key is compromised. Can the hacker then obtain everything from the past, or also from the future? And so what are the requirements that we want to have? I personally think that a sort of a double ratchet system is great in this, so that the key is changed very often. And once, if you obtain or if a hacker obtains a key, then he cannot use that key to decrypt previous messages. It's probably food for another discussion. But I think before we discuss where to store keys, we first need to discuss what are our requirements.
Exactly.
How would perfect forward secrecy work in that scenario if you're signing a blockchain that has to have, you got to be able to read the previous blocks?
Yes. So that requires that the different parties do well with a double ratcheting system. That would be possible if there are 3 parties involved, so that if one gets the key, then you always need to, so the key between A and B is not the key that's shared between A and C and B and C. So with a system like that, you can have
a Shamir share?
Sorry?
You mean a Shamir share of pieces of the keys? Or are you talking about?
No. So those are actually 3 Diffie-Hellman key pairs that you have between AB, AC, and BC. So, and if one of the channels is exposed, then for that, the whole session, everything that's used with that's signed with the exposed keys, that's broken or forever unsafe. But as soon as one of the different parties takes the ratchet, a new key is generated for A, B, and C, and the old keys are not enough to reconstruct the new keys. So, but I'm not saying that we need this. I'm totally not saying that we need this, but I think we need to discuss
Talk
what
about
we
it.
need first.
Yes.
Yeah, and that
So
was the goal. That was the goal, is just to get the wheels
Okay.
turning, so
Yeah.
we don't forget about it too late.
Yeah. So Steve, is it okay if I put you on the spot to arrange the meeting and have a discussion with the people who have the passion
Yeah.
around this? And
Yeah.
then we'll surface it next time. If we have had the meeting, we'll surface what we discussed. But it looks like, I mean, this is a very interesting discussion to have and figure out, where we land. Okay, we can move on from there.
Yeah.
From Central Node. Okay. What are there new projects to watch?
Yeah, I have not heard of any since any new ones that we've talked about, like Sigstore and Notary 2, but I have not heard of any other projects that really have come out. The only other one is, and I think I've mentioned this before, is supply chain is being added to the CD Foundation as a special interest group. So the CI/CD process is pulling in supply chain pieces now at that level. So those are new ones that I've the only real new one I've heard about. And I know that we had a couple come up today, like Rust Crypto. I never heard of that one before. But if there's any other projects that people know about, or even like at the crate level, that we should keep an eye on, please throw them out there.
Yeah. Also, I mean, this is not a new project, but I learned about transparency logs and how they work for Golang. And there's a lot of literature around there, and all of this is started by the Go core committers, Russ Cox and team. So that is something that I will be looking into to figure out how our transparency logs look similar, different, whatnot. But they are using the same what you call concepts, but not on blockchain, and we'll put it on the blockchain. So Rust Crypto, you mentioned that was the new, right? I mentioned it above, but I'll just add it here just so that.
Let me see if I.
Yeah. Okay. Any?
Oh, I do have one
Okay.
that could be of interest for Erwin and Johan. There's one. Let me drop the link in. No, wrong one. But it was a way to look at the layers through a command line. There it is.
Okay.
I had posted an example of what I was saying, as in like the unique functionality. It was a very long message, so I'll repost it in Pyrsia team if it gets lost.
Yeah. Please post it on Pyrsia team. Yeah, so the Zoom recording will be there, but it will be hard to go to the recording, find the chat message and copy it. So it's better you paste it. I also realized what happened. I had created an agenda for March 5th, which is not today. So one of the other items I had was the intention to share a little bit about our blockchain, the progress we are making on the blockchain integration. So last week we had basically the MVP discussion of what how the blockchain is going to be built, what pieces we know, what pieces need to be evaluated, and what we can build on top of Aleph. So all the issues are tagged with the tag, a label blockchain, if you wanted to look at it and ask questions, and obviously ask Christian and Shufe and Chris about how things are going, or if you have questions or want to contribute there. Christian or Shufe, do you want to add anything related to that?
I don't. Shufe is the one who's actually currently working on all that. I don't have much to add. Okay. Shufe, are you on the call?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Then the last item, and we are kind of 1 minute over. Any open questions that you thought we should have addressed here but didn't? Looks like no. Okay, then that's it for the architecture meeting. If you did post something really important in the chat, it might disappear. So please move it over to the Pyrsia team channel as well. And the recording will be available anyway. So if you missed it, you can dig it out, but better to surface it there. Okay. All right. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, thanks, guys.
Everyone.
Talk soon.
Have a great day.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.